Halloween! Hello once again. This is Doc Rotten, and this is Horror News Radio, the official Gruesome Magazine podcast. Back with me again this week are the scariest, goriest, bloodiest co-host on the net. And tonight we are discussing Bly Manor. In fact, we're doing the 13 ghosts of Bly Manor. We're doing a countdown. We're going to talk about each ghost that's in there. Where did you see him? We're not going to go into the details because we're going to run through it real quick, but this is going to be a lot of fun. Hang out with this. Spoilers ahead. We're going to spoil the whole damn thing, so make sure you watch it because you want to see it. It's actually quite incredible, but let me introduce the crew. All right, starting off with award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Moore. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing good. Really glad to be talking more about Bly Manor, and I brought my Obi-Wan ghost to keep us company.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Oh my God. Oh.
So, but yeah. And, this is one of those, just like the first season, I know we're not going to go into detail about hidden ghosts, but a lot of these guys we're talking about, a lot of them are hidden throughout the show. And again, I was oblivious like the first season. I didn't see a lot of these ghosts, and now you can't help but see it if you go back and watch it again. But yeah, there's a lot of freaky ghosts going on in this show.
Yeah, some of them are obvious, and some of them you might have never seen. Also joining us tonight is podcasting rockstar, podcasting rockstar, and international cosplay queen, Vanessa Thompson.
What are you, Joey Pesci?
You ruined my entrance. Like vampire.
You can still do it. It's still
spooky
works.
Vampire for Halloween while we're talking about spooky things.
And I throw out a
rat joke. Right? Why? Because I got one? Huh?
Wow. That rock star.
I don't even know what I can say. I can't say no. All right. What are we doing today? We're going to be talking about the 13 Ghosts of Bly Manor. Bly Manor, of course, The Haunting of Bly Manor is on Netflix. It came out on October 9th, but it's playing all through this Halloween season. And if you haven't seen it, time is still there for you to go see it. Push pause, come back 9 hours later. and watch this. We won't get into the synopsis and everything. Just read real quick. But what we're going to do is we're going to go through the 13 ghosts. Some of them you may not have seen. One of them you haven't seen so much that the only pictures I could find is where other people have done circles around them, and I didn't want to use those. So, I put a representation of us watching the show and pointing at all the ghosts as we see them on the TV. Look, there's a ghost. The first one on our list is the priest. He dies in, I think we discovered he died in episode 8, the flashback, and he shows up a number of times, most notably at the top of the stairs when Danny goes up there. The stairs are flanked by the soldier, which we'll talk about soon, and him. And he's a couple other times. Did you guys even see the priest?
No,
although he was the priest that married Viola and Arthur. That's the priest that died.
Well, and she was to get there to give him her last rites and stuff, and she was like, "No,
she didn't want to do that.
I ain't leaving."
Yeah.
I never.
And nobody else is either. I didn't either until I started researching this, and I was like, "Wow!" And he's there. He's literally there.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch all these episodes.
All right, I already hinted to number 2, and that is the soldier. If you may not be able to see it on this screen, but he's standing right behind Hannah there in the hallway. He's in the dark, so you don't really see him. Again, he shows up a number of times. The soldier is most notably in was it Henry Wingraves backstory, right? When he's talking about when he was a child, he also had a friend and that scared him, and by giving him a backstory, they became more friendly and he wasn't scared anymore. And he's seen throughout the house as the shows go on. Did you guys know? Did you guys see the soldier?
I did not. I mean, I saw after the fact when I watched one of those compilation videos of all the things. But it's and there's like so many times it's kind of obvious because I think there's one part where the stairway There's one part where he's up on the stairway and stuff. I mean,
No.
There's one when he's when he's in like the kitchen. There's a couple of them that are in the kitchen. Like, how did I not see him?
No. The only time I remember is when Henry's telling the story.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, and I was thinking I gotta look out for him. Still didn't catch him, but I knew that he had to be in there somewhere. So he wasn't a surprise. But yeah. All right. They're gonna start getting a little more obvious as we go down this list. All right, and number 3 is the Plague Doctor. Everybody saw the Plague Doctor, but did you see him every single time? The Plague Doctor, of course, was killed in episode 8, and then which was a flashback. And then the first episode, he's in it so much.
There's that one where he's basically the camera's right behind him. You're like, what the heck is this guy?
Yeah,
and then we don't really find out until later, what he's about. But yeah, there's like so many scenes that, like, whether it's just because he's all in black, you'll just see that beak of that thing. And there's like, I think there's actually the scene where when the main, I can't remember her name, of the main girl character, Danny, there's a scene where she sees Quint on the veranda or whatever. If you look to the left,
he's down there standing.
He's down there just standing.
I think I saw that. Yeah, I think I saw that one.
But there's like so many scenes. I mean, the main thing is like when if you go back and watch it again, anytime there's like doorways or stuff in the background or mirror or just corners of a room, there's sometimes a ghost there. And it's like, and let me just tell you something, Vanessa and I worked on Backward Creep. Initially, we were going to have the Ashira girl popping up in the background in certain scenes, but it was so complicated for it to even notice that we kind of gave up. We were going to have her behind every scene.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was like, insane. But we'd have to work out just perfectly. Okay, where's this person stand till you would see it? And it was like, this is more effort. So I give them major props. Of course, they have a whole lot more money than we had on Backward Creep.
And
so yeah, they just have more of everything. Ours is like a few people. So
our award-winning film.
Yes. It's notable when we talk about the Plague Doctor is that you can see him in the dollhouse, and all the other characters that we're talking about tonight are in the dollhouse, and they get moved around, and they're actually in place when they're seen as ghosts as well. When, like, there's that time when she walks into the Flora's room and Flora's playing, and she just walked right past the ghost, and there she is standing there, and the ghost is behind her in the haunted house, in the little playhouse. So really cool stuff. All right, let's keep moving on. This is the one I think might have chilled most people down to the bone. The doll-faced boy, also known as the Victorian child. Definitely we'll see him up close and personal, because he actually gets the doll face mask. He's the one that is haunting Flora, and of course Henry's backstory helps her kind of befriend him in a way, but you probably saw him far more often than you thought. He is in the kitchen all the time. He's down the hallway a lot. He's everywhere. If you're in the attic, he's probably hiding in the dolls.
Yeah, that's the one main time I think where they made it more noticeable, because when the little girl leaves the room, the attic, the camera just stays there, and all of a sudden you see like a head turn. That ghost is creepy because he has those, like, you can see a little bit of the normal human features, but then just the way his mouth kind of like disappears halfway, and it's kind of like a crack. It's kind of creepy. But yeah, and I feel like he's the one that's like moving he's always playing the dollhouse.
Yep.
So I kind of figure that he's the one that's playing Sims. with the ghost character. He's playing Sims with the ghost characters. Is like, okay, Quint's in this room, and the Plague Doctor's in this room, and all that kind of stuff. So but yeah, that little kid is definitely creepy. Although I think the one thing that I first heard it from you, Doc, and then I looked it up as the hands thing.
Oh, the hands on the chair.
Which I'm assuming that's the kid's hands, but
yes,
there's parts where he's like in the corner. He's in the corner. He evidently that's his favorite spot is in the corner in the kitchen.
Yeah, at the end of the.
Now it just makes me, after watching that, I'm scared to look in corners of my house now because I figure there's gonna be some creepy weird ghost that's died in my house.
Yep, he's down there in the hallways. He's in the corners. Yeah, he's everywhere. Yeah, they love the kitchen. They're in the kitchen a lot. All right. Up next is talk about the attic. Perdita Willoughby, the late Perdita is the lady in the attic, and we get hints of her. The shh scene early on, but when Quint pulls her out of those shadows is one of the chilling scenes for me. It got me. I was like, oh my god! He just pulls her, yanks her up, and she's like, ah. And of course, the backstory is incredibly sad too. What do you think? She's probably one of the more obvious ones. I don't think we see her a whole lot. She's typically in the attic, right?
I think so. I think she's stuck up there.
Yeah, she's stuck. I mean, that is that's the coast I think they definitely bring into the light more, pardon the pun, than others. Because there's
up in the attic.
Yeah, because whether it's when the little girl goes up there and she's playing hide and seek and she's like you said, shh, and then the other when the guy pulls on. But I don't know if there, I mean, there's probably other times where she might be lurking, but she seems to be the one that's like, that's her prison as being, and maybe that has something to do with, the lady in the lake who sort of like put her in that position. And maybe she's more enslaved in that area than other characters are.
Yeah, and the reason why she's up there may be one of the scariest scenes in the whole show.
It was good.
The hands coming out of the dress. Oh my god!
That's made me almost fall off my couch. So,
all right,
big jump scare.
Yeah, it did. That was good. All right, at number 6 is Henry Wingraves, demon-faced doppelganger. Now, this is a different type of ghost. Christopher and I debated about this. Friendly debate. Because he's not really a spirit. He's a demon of the mind, and he's haunted. Henry is definitely haunted by this particular being, but he is the Hyde to Henry's Jekyll, right? And
what did he call him? Like shit grinning bastard or something? That shit grinning bastard that you have inside of you.
Yeah. He basically got cursed. He got cursed by his breath.
So I missed the last episode where you guys were talking about it more generally. Did you pick up on who Henry's brother is? Where you would have seen him before?
No.
That is Dr. Garth Marenghi from Dark Place. You know the show. That's Garth Marenghi. Yes. So
okay.
That's a deep dive, guys. Go on the YouTube, look up Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. There's only a few episodes. It's got Richard Ayoade in it from IT Crowd. Is freaking phenomenal, and to see him in this role was awesome. Sorry, that's my little fan service for that.
Josh sent me links to that.
Oh, the show is
good. I ended up watching it, and I laughed so hard because it does a great job of parroting certain elements of like cheesy like horror stuff.
British, yeah.
But I didn't put 2 and 2 together about that. Now it makes me want to go back and watch it.
That is him. Everybody should watch it. It's only like 6 episodes. It is spooky, perfect Halloween spooky time fodder.
Dark Place.
Hilarious.
Right, look for it. All right. Well, Henry gets a double bill here, not only with his doppelganger, but he's also a ghost himself for a very short bit. I couldn't find a picture of him, but in ghostly form, but he encounters the lady of the lake, who we'll talk about later, and she promptly chokes him to death. And he has a conversation with another ghost. I'm not going to spoil that. Of course, we will, but you've seen it. You know who he's talking to. And so he's a ghost, nearly dead for a short bit of time. And I was worried. I will admit that I was like, no, he just showed up and you're gonna kill him. Don't kill him. He has to be around.
Yeah.
And then of course Owen to the rescue. And and we get a word from beyond because of it.
Well, well, the interesting thing is the doppelganger demon ghost, not a real ghost, and screw you, Doc.
He's not the only one. There's another one.
Yeah, there is. If you think about it, both of those ghosts have specific things that tie into Hill House, because the scene with the doppelganger ghost where he comes into his face where he's on the couch, that ties to Nell and the broke neck lady ghost. And then when he actually becomes a ghost for a little bit of time, he has a conversation with someone, and that person talks about tell this person I love them and everything else is, and cuts off. And that ties into the confetti line.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Oh, I could have used that picture. Oh, I didn't know that was from there.
So yeah. So that's that. It's kind of interesting that it's both different iterations of the Henry Wingrave character, but it also has two of the elements that are some of the quintessential parts of the Hill House story and dialogue.
Well, what I loved about these two ghosts in this particular character is that you spend 6 episodes thinking he's such a dick. He's such a cruel dick, right? But then you find out why, and it's almost heartbreaking, right? And,
yeah, as opposed to Quint, which I still hate him.
Yeah, who's just literally a dick.
Although, let me point out again, Henry Thomas is an amazing actor.
Yes,
his role in this, where he does a flawless, like, British accent,
Scottish,
shows,
right?
Is it Scottish?
Are we talking about Peter Quint?
Not Peter Quint. I'm talking about Henry Thomas, who played Henry Wingrave. Yeah, Henry Wingrave. I think that he's one. This specific show really shows his potential and not potential, just his ability as an actor.
He's the guy from E.T., right?
Yeah. I mean, he's
a kid from
but
E.T.
He pulls off a flawless English accent that just blew me away. Because usually it's harder sometimes for Americans to pull off British accents than sometimes British actors to pull off American accents.
This is a great role for him. It was so frail at times and so evil at times. And it took me forever just to believe that he wasn't a ghost the whole time.
Well, that and it also felt very psycho-ish, which is very ironic because he played a young Bates.
Did he really?
I think was
Psycho
it
2 or 3?
Psycho 2 or 3, one of those, I think he played. But I love almost the psycho-ness of it.
Yeah.
Of him sort of having this kind of split personality, even though it's the same person, but it's two different people. But also his how he embodies it with that creepy smile.
Yeah.
Even though we're going back to Doppelganger, I think. But yeah. But again, that whole moment when he becomes a ghost is also
sad. So
very sad
moment.
Yeah, for a lot of reasons. For him and for the other person we'll talk about very soon. All right, we are halfway through our countdown at number 8. I guess we're farther than halfway. Somebody can't count, but that's okay. Is James, the fiance? This is a ghost of the mind, not a spirit. It's basically, but he's definitely, I would say, haunting Danny for certain. When we finally get to the flashback, we find out all about why this bright-eyed ghost is around every corner, and I would say that's kind of heartbreaking too. But
no, it's not. Fart noise.
Noise.
Terrible.
He's terrible.
He is terrible.
I mean, for her, but for him, he's definitely not ready for the revelation.
What a jerk. He's such a brat the whole time. Like, I wouldn't want to marry this guy either. Please kill yourself.
Well, he didn't do that.
I know he didn't, but he did die.
Well, that makes it even more appropriate why he'd be the creepy ghost that's stalking her all the time.
Seriously,
in her mind.
Yes. It was very fitting. I was like, just leave her alone. She's gay.
Yeah, although when that ghost first showed up, I kept thinking of, I don't know if you guys remember Sin City and Elijah Wood's character, Kevin. It kind of reminded me of that a little bit, but I will say it did make me not want to look in mirrors for a little while after watching that. Because if I saw some little glowing glasses dude in my mirror, I think I'd be covering up as well. But yeah, I think I think when I was discussing this, when we had that heated conversation, we were in fisticuffs. about what's a ghost and what's not. No, it's
Come on.
No, but at the same time, I think that's what I love about this series, because I think C. Robert Cargill said that the best horror is if you can take the horror element of it, but just the characters and their situations are drama enough for you to still enjoy. And the series is like that. And you know, a lot of times, you know, the ghosts are usually an extension of the specific issues they have. Sometimes they're just flashbacks to those issues they've had in the past. And so a lot of times our demons that we have, we're haunted by our own ghosts. Mm-hmm. And in this one, they were basically almost like her post-traumatic stress disorder type issue of being haunted by the situation where she was not only dealing with the specific person, but also dealing with her own sexuality and being afraid to come out of the closet or to really be the person that she was, because of people judging her for that, or even hurting someone's feelings, you know, even though she needs to be true to herself. And so, yeah, I think I love that, to where it's an embodiment of her own demons, her own issues, that she created this ghost that she had to overcome.
But still, fuck that ghost. He's the worst. He's the ghost. He's the epitome of like the guy in your DMs that won't leave you alone, right? Or like the person who just will not get the clue, but at the same time has to make it about them. I don't know. Every woman out there has experienced the James ghost. He sucks.
A little bit of incel in there. But
yes.
All right. Well, let's move on, because it's getting scary. All right.
James ghost the whole time.
Probably the most frightening ghost in the entire series is Viola Willoughby, the lady in the lake. We don't really get when we do get the full shot of her. Finally, it has to deal with the kids and Peter Quint down the hallway, and it's really scary. But it gets even scarier as the episodes go on. And we first get the idea of what she is with the muddy footprints. And I knew she was a lady in the lake, but knowing the backstory behind her and why she's coming from the lake and back to the house over and over and over again is really at the heart of this story, right? It's that heartbreak that she has, and the willing, she's not willing to let go and move on. Like she said, she just wouldn't, and created this, what do they call it? They call it a gravity well, right? A gravity well, and all the ghosts can't leave. So what did you guys think of her? I mean, episode 8 is important for that character, but so there's two aspects, I guess, is what I'm talking about. Is one, the ghost itself and her representation, and then of course her backstory that brings her to life.
She's almost seems, I hate to compare it, but it almost feels like the James ghost, where you have somebody who's sort of like haunting someone, and they're, based on their own sort of like devilish pursuits, to where they, jealousy and also being a character who's been she's a very strong, headstrong character, character that in that time period, a lot of times the patriarchy sort of gets in the way of some women's, they had to, the whole point of them was to marry someone and to give their wealth to and all that stuff. If you think it like that one part where she comes back and she's trying to do stuff and she's wearing like pants, which is not something a woman of that time period would do.
That's right, yeah.
So, because I've heard some interviews with Katie Siegel, I think her name is, who's married to the director. Because of the casting couch, because they're married. No, but she's an amazing actress, and
she's definitely the hottest ghost.
Yeah.
When she has a face.
Well, yeah. I don't know. Some people probably like the little melded face.
Come on now.
So it's sort of like a wax figure face that's been melted. But yeah, it's you have this character who's very strong, and then she gets COVID or whatever, and she becomes
the lung. They called it the lung.
But
it was COVID.
It's sort of like COVID, and because she's always coughing all the time, but she becomes weak and she can't be as headstrong about things. And then to see that her hubby has a thing for her sister sort of puts it in a weird situation. Although her sister's always having to, be secondary and be always dealing with the wake, the water wake of her sister. So yeah, it's a very strong character, but at the same time, you can also see how that her sort of ego got in the way of things, where now it's really sad that like she cares about her kid, but she wants to take her kid with her to her grave. And that to me, it's not good parenting. You should want the best for your kid, especially if you're dying, but her jealousy and her sort of headstrongness sort of got in the way of good thinking, and which makes her to where anybody who comes in her way, especially when she's dead, she's going to take you with her, because she keeps thinking she's like that claw machine that just grabs anything that comes in her way and takes you down to the water. Yeah, but her the times when she shows up are always very frightening and creepy.
She's very menacing in every scene that she's in. There's the fear, and I love how they show that in the kids, right? Especially when they're trying to guide Danny around her. That one evening, they're like, "No, wait here, go up here," because they're watching the time, because they know when she makes her rounds, right? And she doesn't want that to happen. What they've seen happen to a ghost that's coming up on this countdown.
Oh my God, yes. All right, let's move on our list here.
This ghost.
Peter Quint. We know he's a ghost from the onset, or at least we suspect. Even though they tried to tell us he's just coming back to break into the house and steal more stuff, we know better. We've seen ghost stories before. And he is a very complex character because he's a dick, but in his heart is love. And I think if you believe the love, if you believe that connection, it's better if you don't, but it doesn't do it for you, right, Chris?
Fuck Quint. Fuck him. There's a reason his first name is Peter, which also is a dick.
No offense to all Peters out there.
He's another character like our Lady in the Lake. Mm-hmm. He's a jerk. He just wants his way. He's very selfish and his mom is doing all these things to him, and poo-poo.
Well, I mean, he did get molested by his dad, and forced to watch other kids get molested too. Like,
that's true, but
he's damaged.
He's very damaged.
He's damaged, but that doesn't mean that what he's doing is right, and that doesn't make him. I don't see that. I really don't see any humanity in him.
Yeah,
to be honest, because even when he's trying to win the love of Miss Jessel, is that her name, Miss Jessel?
Yeah. He calls her Bex.
Yeah, but he's just doing it because he wants to get laid. He wants her to be, and then basically, I
think there's love there, just a misunderstanding of love.
He's also very possessive, right?
But that's the thing is, like, he would rather pull her out of her ability to be successful as a woman of that time period,
to be alive.
Then he just wants her to be dead with him.
Yeah.
And
that was fucked up.
To me, that's, I know people, I know people that have been like in a situation to where a loved one says, I had a family member who she didn't go to this college because he did not want her to go to another state to go to college, even though she had a full scholarship. And her education was screwed up because of that, because of a guy, because of him being so self-centered and selfish. So fuck Quint. I cannot stand this character. That's the only part of this series that I don't like. Because I don't believe that relationship, and I don't see the chemistry between those two. But that's my only issue. But I don't like his character, and I understand he's been through a lot. But I think if they'd showed more humanity or more of a nice side to him, that would sort of counterbalance that, you know, I'd be okay with it. But no, I don't like Quint.
All right, well, let's move on up to the list. We might as well talk about Rebecca Jessel now. Bex is probably, well, I guess she's the most, well, she's not the most tragic, but she's the most tragic going into the story. Let's put it that way, right? She is manipulated by Peter Quint. He learns how to take over her body. You know, the whole, what do they call it?
Possession?
Well, it is possession. That's the literal thing, but they call it pushing it back and, you know, go to, I forget what they get the kids
tucked
called.
Away.
Tucked away. Thank you so much. Yes, they get tucked away. And he learned, you know, he basically tucks her away and drowns her.
And then no, puts her in the water to drown and then leaves her to drown.
So she can experience
consciously.
Yeah.
What a jerk.
Yep.
And, you know, but like, she's strong. She's independent in the beginning. She gets wrapped up with this guy. After he dies and after she sees what he's doing, though, I really lose sympathy for her. It's extraordinarily sad what happens. Extraordinarily sad to watch. So hard to watch. But at the same time, you're like, well, people tried to warn you. And the dude already fucking died. Like, no good is going to come of this. And you're allowing that to happen. And then for her to get into cahoots with him and to manipulate the children the way they do, that's so messed up. And I'm glad that she finally realizes that what she's doing is wrong and tries to correct some part of what she can correct.
Yep.
But I didn't have very much sympathy for her, at least towards.
Once you find out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you do it first when she's kind of peering up.
Yeah.
She's doing a little boop.
She is splendidly imperfect.
Oh yes, perfectly splendid. Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I don't understand the affinity that she had for Quint, and to where she would throw a lot of these aspirations away, especially when he threatens to say, "Oh, I can always tell my, you know, tell Mr. Wingrave, you know, I could always get you, you know, taken off of that or say something bad about you." Just threaten. I mean, there's like, especially that one time where he's threatening to her and then he leaves and stuff.
Oh, what a jerk.
Yeah, he's just a jerk. And I just didn't understand that because she seemed like a very sweet, smart individual. And, but, you know, a lot of times people do get mixed up in those type of situations, even though they're smart and
to me, that was a believable relationship. I've seen girls go down that sort of path. You just get so blinded and so wrapped up that you can't see the truth until it's too late.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess maybe that's why it makes me mad about the Quint character, because I see too many people that get involved with people that are just abusive and they put up with it and they still love them for some reason. And it is a very tragic thing, which again plays into the whole gothic romance element of this season. Because you have those sort of doomed romances, but I felt kind of bad for her because, again, you know, she was really trying hard to be successful in her life, you know, despite everything that's, you know, against her, and then it's just mainly trying to make the best of the situation every time something else had happened, like finding out your lover's dead and finding out that he killed you. What do we do from here? Oh, maybe there's a possibility of having some kind of life if we possess these children or whatever, which doesn't make sense. But yeah, especially what the things that he makes that little boy do.
The only good Quint is a shark killing Quint.
Exactly.
There you go. All right, well, we got 2 more to go, so let's move along. And some hearts are going to break. Here we go. At number 12, not necessarily, you know, counting down here, just in case you didn't figure that out by now, but Hannah Grose. Hannah Grose really got to me. I love her episode 5, which is, you know, kind of the revelation of how this tucked away and, you know, timelessness, you know, kind of losing track of time and everything, and works, and realizing, you know, her self-realization of what's going on is was a really mind-blowing episode. But she makes for a great ghost because nobody knows that she's a ghost. They're having conversations with her, and she's interacting, even though she, seems to come and go with ease. Really a great character. And I think part of what makes her a great character, well, beside the actress herself, is the relationship that I have pictured here with Owen, which is a super romantic and sweet relationship. Unrequited love, unacquainted, requited love. Yes, I'm English. Good for most people, but it just you knew that they loved each other, but they just never could act on it, right? So, and to realize what happened to her, and then at the end, of course, having Owen realize what happened and discover her body. So,
my heart.
much different ghost than all the other ghosts in this, in a lot of ways.
She's the loving, caring ghost. She retained that need to protect the children, right?
Mm-hmm.
To care for the children, to be the caretaker at Bly, to care for Bly. She had a role and a job that she was good at, and she was strong, and she was loyal. If nothing else, Hannah Grose is loyal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my heart. She breaks my heart. Her story between her and Owen, and her realizations of being dead and
Mm-hmm.
finding her own body, like, oh, my heart. She's what a wonderful character.
And the character, the tics the character has, everything are so telling, but you just don't know what they're
not
telling
eating
you at the beginning, right? And the rubbing the head, being distracted.
The crack in the wall.
And the crack in the wall. Oh my God, the crack on the wall that keeps disappearing.
That one episode is kind of similar to the Broke Neck Lady episode of Hill House to me.
In a way.
But it's more but then it turns into sort of like Groundhog Day meets Sixth Sense, to where you have this where you're just repeating all these different things, and then by the end of it, she finds out her fate that this whole time, or for a while, she's sort of like because she's having these sort of blackout periods where that's why she's always like staring off into space, because she just had these moments of like reflection to specific scenes, and then she through her flashback, she's slowly coming to the observation that she did. But yeah, it's she's such a wonderful character that even despite the knowledge of not being alive, she's still doing her part and trying to make sure everybody's okay, at least what she can do with that.
Yeah.
Tanaya Miller did a great job.
Amazing.
All right. The last ghost on our list is a ghost that we really only see briefly in one final scene. Or do we? I think we do. When when the hand rests on Jamie's shoulder. But yeah, we're talking about Danielle Clayton, in the final episode, who of course saves the family by taking on the burden of the ghost herself, the lady in the lake, who eventually gets strong enough to win once again. But Danny won't let that happen. Sacrifices herself, and this incredibly emotional scene that I got pictured here when Jamie realizes what she'd done. But and then Jamie, of course, spends the rest of her life waiting for her to walk through the door or to appear in water. And how touching. I mean, I don't know, did anybody cry when the hand reaches down and touches her shoulder? She falls asleep.
Did anybody cry?
It's she's definitely watching over Jamie for the rest of her life.
Oh, that whole episode I cried. The whole last episode I cried, basically. What a touching story. And I love that they go from such a violent, angry ghost to a peaceful, loving ghost, you know, one that's not going to repeat this vicious cycle. Oh my God. But that hand, I'm going to cry now. That hand on the chair.
Yes. But you didn't realize it at the beginning because it's, you know, it goes full circle, right? I think that's the title of the last episode. It, or that might be a different one. I don't know. But, you know, she's. We
did watch some. Oh, that was Lovecraft Country.
Oh, Lovecraft Country. She turns on the water right at the beginning, and she's, you know, sitting at the door, and then of course at the end she's doing it again.
It should have been called The Shape of Haunted Water. That's what it should have been. But
that's cute. I like
yeah, it's. I mean, I admit I was crying. I was such a, because I mean that's the true gothic romance of it all. These doomed lovers that, you know, you have this one character who knows what her fate is, and she's trying to have the best life she can before she has to deal with the, you know, the lady in the lake, you know. So yeah, and we get that sort of I keep comparing to other things, but it's sort of like the movie Up, when we get to see that these flashbacks of all the moments with him and his wife.
Yes.
You get to see that between these two characters. You get to see them sort of fulfill this life together. And there's even that aspect of it, you know, because, you know, just like Vanessa, I didn't know going into this series that there was going to be this major like gay relationship between these two women. And there's that one moment where she's like, I know that we can't get married in reality, but I just, you know, and gives her that ring. I was like, oh,
yeah.
I mean, I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking about it. It's just like, it's so like, and you get to see that loving relationship where just the daily things of them, like hanging out in their, you know, their loungewear on the bed, and just doing all these different things together, doing the shop stuff together. And also just the heartbreaking element of the Danny character, the later Danny character, of she's always sort of like filling the tub full of water and doing all these things, you know, just to have that connection, that haunting connection together, that love will still go on. Oh, I hate making a Titanic reference. No, don't. The love will still go on despite her being dead, and it's just that haunting love relationship is the essence of most gothic romantic movies that Del Toro falls in love with, and did sort of in Crimson Peak. So, but yeah, that's the essence of this whole story, of that love relationship. And it's truly heartbreaking because it's kind of sad. You know, you have that whole thing where her life has been haunted, the first part of it. And then when she finally has somebody that she could love, she's being haunted by this other element, and she's still got to sort of deal with that. But at the same time, trying to at least have some kind of semblance of a life and have some love before she knows she's got to leave the earth, you know? So yeah, it's a haunting thing to watch, but I think it's the heart of this whole series, this specific season, that is the one thing that I think most people come away with, like, oh my God, I cried so much at the end.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a speech earlier on when Jamie's talking to the bride, who's Flora, and Flora literally gives the entire series, all 9 episodes, the permission to be a love story instead of a ghost story.
Yeah.
And just gives it all the permission it needs.
The casting for when they're older.
Yes. Oh no, really?
As far as like Owen, really, and I get why they did Jamie, because they didn't want. Well, I get why they did all of them. They didn't want to give it away, right? That it was them there. But come on, I think Owen shrank like a foot. Like, no, thank you. There are just some characters that I was like, you could have done better than this.
Well, we had a similar problem in Hill House, because the Henry Thomas character, they replaced him with another actor that I didn't feel was a perfect embodiment of that, but after a while you sort of got used to it. But yeah, I do agree, because even the the character that's supposed to be the young boy didn't really look
That's
like
my
him.
only complaint.
Or just, you know.
Well, Carla was great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. Vanessa, no.
Wait, I'm drawing a blank.
She used to play Jamie, Carla Gugino.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
no,
yeah,
he was amazing.
I always mispronounce her name. I don't know
No,
why.
yeah, no.
But even
Gugino?
then I feel
Gugino.
like they should have had Flora have more of a British accent.
It would have been nice, but
I think they were trying to.
That makes sense. Though.
I think they were trying to not throw us off by,
yeah,
you know, because if you hear like, they still have her say that like, oh, that's splendid or something.
Splendid.
But she just says splendid. She doesn't even say perfectly splendid. So it's at that moment. So I think if she was talking like that, you'd be like, ooh, that's Flora.
Yeah, you would have put it. It would have been too obvious. They had to be a little subtle. All right, well, there you go. That's our list. We'll take a quick look at it again. The priest, the soldier, the plague doctor, the doll-faced boy, lady in the attic, demon-faced doppelganger, nearly dead Henry, the fiance, that's the eyeglass ghost, lady in the lake, Peter Quint, Bex, Hannah Gross, and Danny, of course. They're the 13 ghosts of Bly Manor. I hope you enjoyed us doing a countdown like this. If you did and you're still listening, please subscribe. Hit the like button or dislike button. I mean, if you know, either way, it will help others find us and enjoy shows like this as well. Hit the bell so you'll be reminded. Leave some comments down below. Let us know what you think of this list, and if you'd like for us to do more of this kind of content. Really want some feedback there, and if you know, guide us on our way. Yes. All right. Vanessa, Christopher, thank you. This was a wonderful time reliving this series in a very unique way and a fun way, and both scary and heartbreaking.
Perfect seasonal show to watch.
Yeah.
I'd
I mean,
say.
I think if this, you know, is just as successful.
Easy for you to say.
If it's just as successful as the first season, it'd be interesting to see what they try to, you know, do with the next story. Like what kind of adaptation, or if it be something new with the haunted house story. There's
got to be something out there.
I gotta say, I like this one better than Hill
Do
House.
you?
This is in more my wheelhouse.
Yeah, I still love the first one.
I kind of like Hill House better.
Oh, that's what most people say.
I think that's mainly because of Quint.
Yeah,
but,
I can see that.
Because I didn't really hate a lot of the characters in the first season.
Yeah, I love them both.
Well, they're both great. You know, even if we say one is better than the other, I think we could both say that they're both great seasons of television.
I don't think they have to be better or not better.
They're two different things. It's like apples and oranges, basically.
Yeah, I just prefer this one.
Yeah. All right, let's say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Ooh.